Hi guys. Okay, I'm back with another scrap tray project. Now, if you saw my last video, this was the little pile that I had pulled out for this project. And a few people commented about my tray not going down. I know. It's yeah, it seems to be growing and growing. I don't know what's happening, but I have not added anything to it. I think it looks bigger because I've been shuffling about in there, and so now all the pieces are kind of puffed up, whereas before it was years of papers just being put in and flattened and condensed and so they just fit a lot nicer. Kind of like digging a hole. There's always so much soil, too much to fill the hole back in afterwards. Anyway, so I have not added to this. I do have some little scraps about my desk, but from other projects I'm working on and making journals, you know, things like this. But I've not added them to this because I've been also trying to use those scraps off my desk as I go as well, so that they don't build up and so that I don't add to this little tray that I'm trying to get rid of. Ooh, I'll take that. Okay, now today's little project, I've gone through and I've tried to pick out some interesting pieces of paper, which has been quite difficult because it's all brown paper, book pages and itty bitty scraps, and even the book pages, they're not nice looking ones. So I've gone through, I've tried to pick out, you know, music paper, maps, you know, there's bits of coloured paper in here. There's some blank pages left over that I will do something with. Okay, so for this little project, you just need to gather a bunch of different little scraps. Well, they don't have to be too different. You know, I've got some where I've got handwriting, book page. Oh gosh, it's a bit ugly, isn't it? Now, some of these pages I'm going to have to stamp on maybe, because I'll show you what I'm doing. In a second. Okay, so you get the idea. Try and pick out from your little scrap pile, if you're going to make some, a variety of different kind of pages. Doesn't matter what's on them. Look, this is Coles supermarket deli paper. That's a bit of phone book. Brown paper, the never-ending brown paper bags. Book page. There's a little bit of matte paper in there. Some, I think, Chinese paper, grid paper. A note that I was writing someone. Don't know why that didn't get sent. That's a bit of magazine page. Had a nice colour and pattern on it. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm making first, and then I'm going to make a few more interesting papers. Okay, so this is today's little project. These are little scrap paper ruffles. Now, typically when I make paper ruffles, I usually use book pages because I have a never-ending supply of them. I've also made yellow pages phone book ruffles and You know, the obvious music paper ruffles, brown paper ruffles to get rid of brown paper bags. But this time I thought I'm going to use some of this. Now, this is some paper my father gave me. It's from my father's business when he retired. He was a printer and photographer. And it's really, really nice. The colour's beautiful. I'm not sure what it's for, but you can use like sewing pattern tissue paper, or where is some? You know, tissue paper that comes in, you know, handbags and clothing and shoe boxes and whatever. You can use book pages, brown paper bags. It doesn't matter. Just use whatever. I'm just using this paper because I love this crinkle sound it makes. It's just so delicious. Anyway, so these are some of the little scrap paper ruffles. They're all little different tiny bits of scraps out of that scrap tray. Now, I did introduce some more scraps into this project. So little things where I've had old music paper laying around the desk. You know, scraps of the inside of envelopes as well. I've put some of that in. Just because my paper tray doesn't have a big variety of papers. This is peeled off the top of a cardboard box. And these, and that brown paper, those are actually stamped scraps out of my little scrap tray. So let me throw those aside. Oh gosh, somewhere on my desk there's no room. So first I'm going to stamp some scraps because I just don't have a variety in this pile to get some nice looking little ruffles. So look, I'll keep that as it is. So these white scraps, where did I put that stamp? Here. Now, I've just stamped it with a script stamp, but you could really just use any stamp, to be honest. You just need something on these boring pieces, you know. Oh, this one's got writing on the other side. I do like the look of the writing. Okay, but I do need some stamped little papers. So those I'm going to stamp. I do like the look of the brown paper stamped. I'll put some more of that in. Look, I pre-shuffled this pile so that you wouldn't have to see me shuffle. And here I go doing it again. But anyway, this creamy colour paper, you know, the edge of book pages, I've found looks really nice when it's stamped. Okay, I'm not going to start shuffling again because I know you had to sit through and see me shuffle 1,000 times. Okay, where's... I don't know what this ink card deco brown. I can't read the rest. Someone gave me this. A friend gave me this. So I don't know if it's a distress ink or a permanent ink, but I'm just going to use it anyway because I quite like the colour. Maybe I should do piece by piece. So I wasn't precious when I was stamping these. I just pretty much Squished it down. See, that will be a lot more interesting for my little scrap paper ruffles. Okay, so I've stamped those. I also pulled out a few extra from the tray. Okay, let's cut some paper. Now, I made my ruffles quite short. Let's see. They're around 13 to 14 centimeters, 15 centimeters. And around 5 centimeters wide. But you can make these as long or as short as you want. I just made them short because I don't think you'd want a whole, you know, page length on your journal. I don't know. You may. You could always cut them, I suppose. But anyway, sort of around there. You can, of course, tear this instead of using a paper trimmer if you want. Whatever you find easier. Then all I did, get rid of this, just get a strip. Now, I was trying to see which ones. Some of them I just sewed straight at my machine with the scraps as I went. But I found that to be a little bit slower than if I glued them. I can't tell which is which though, so I don't think it really matters. Do it however you find it quickest and easiest. I usually don't glue things that I'm going to sew straight away, but after the first two, I think, I realised it is quicker and easier to just glue these. Do a whole pile of them, and then sew them at the end. So, actually I didn't even need that. Okay, so get your scraps. Now, when I sewed mine, I've kind of folded the little scraps under with the ruffles. So I didn't sew the ruffle and then put scraps on top. So if you can see it, they're sewn with the little scraps folded under. And I'll show you how to sew them once I get to that. So I found it easier to have them, the little papers overlapping downways, if that makes any sense, because when you sew ruffles, you're folding up and under. And you'll see that when we get to sewing. So because you want them overlapping top to bottom, it's easiest to start from the bottom. This paper's a bit of a pain. It's so curly. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the bottom. Because this has got quite a white bit on it, I'm going to use that at the bottom so that it's kind of hidden in the ruffle and it's got a straight edge. Now, I don't glue each little piece. I just put a line up the center. Now, you can glue each piece down if you want, but I kind of want mine loose and messy. I think they look nicer when their little bits are lifting and they look a bit scrappy, grungy, kind of not so neat and orderly. Whoops. Okay, so you just go through. Actually, that I want at the top because I think it looks nicer. Oh, maybe not. Okay, let me just spread my little bits out so I can see what's here. Not a lot. Okay, there's some map page. And I just basically glue little bits down and overlap them upwards. Now, I'm probably going to make this look a lot more painful than it actually is. I have a knack of doing that once I start filming. If I'm sitting here by myself, I could churn these babies out so fast. But as soon as that camera's on, yeah, I don't know why I'm so slow. Now, I've really been trying not to overthink it. Just put those little scraps down. I've tried not to make the little piece too long as well, because I only want that little piece to show on one or two pieces. I don't want, you know, a piece so long that it takes up 3 or 4 rows of the ruffle, if that makes any sense. And this really is a great little scrap busting project. Try not to overlap them too much, otherwise it's quite thick and hard to sew the ruffle. think I may have cut my paper the other way before. This seems quite long. Sorry, I've got this bit of envelope on my desk that is staring at me. I just have to get rid of it. It needs to go. This is quite thick. I may not put that in. Okay, so when you get a little strip like that, sometimes if there was a piece that is a little bit too boring, I would put some little random scrap out of my scrap box just down the middle, and that also helps get rid of extra little pieces, like these stupid little pieces that are hanging around still. Okay, so there's one. And if you just go through and make a whole bunch of them, then you can sew them at the end once they're dry, all at once. This is what I mean. I really feel like there's no delicious pieces in here. Just boring book pages. If you're not working out of a little scrap tray though, and you are just making these, you know, intentionally without trying to just use up scraps, then you can just go for gold. Pick out some nice, you know, nice papers, vintage papers, stuff like that. I do really want to get rid of this. This is some really old music paper. It's so fragile. It's really gorgeous. Look at that. But yeah, you don't need to just work from your scrap tray like I'm trying to. Admittedly, I have been pulling in other little papers off my desk here and there sometimes. I try and put any straight edges on the top, just because when I sew, I'll be folding it down, and hopefully that little bit is hidden. Well, it is hidden from the one on top. nothing interesting in here to pick out. Oh gosh. Oh no, I don't want that. I really don't want to introduce any new scraps if I can. Otherwise, I'm not using these up enough. Okay, so it looks pretty ugly when it's like that, but once it's ruffled, they look so cool. Okay, so I've gone ahead and glued a whole bunch of them. Oh, I actually did quite a few. Oh my gosh. I do work a lot quicker off camera. For some reason, I don't know why. When I don't have the camera on, I don't do all that shuffling. I just pick a piece and put it down. I think these are a little bit longer than I cut the previous paper. Anyway, this was the one I did on camera first. So now I'm going to move you to my sewing machine and we're going to sew these babies. Guess what? I think the tray looks like it's gone down. I didn't use all those scraps I pulled out, but I've put them back in, and I do think I feel like it's gone down a little. You may not think so. Okay, let me move you over to my sewing machine. Okay, this is really hard to film. You're sitting between me and the sewing machine, so I feel like I'm going to heavy breathe you. Hi, call Bonny 0055. Anyway, I've got the sewing machine just on a small zigzag stitch, and if you sew ruffles with fabric, this is just the same. Sew them the same way. So I just start off, do a little fold, and you just do the next fold. I hope you can see okay. I'm a mile away. I don't even know if I'm sewing it in the center. And just fold it over as you go. I hope you can see. Sorry, this is really, really hard to film. I tried at a side angle, but yeah, my big man hands get in the way. So you just sew, fold, sew, fold. Now, if you're doing this yourself at the machine, it's a lot quicker and easier. My arms are outstretched. I'm a bit far from the machine, and the camera is sitting between me and the sewing machine, and you're on a pile of books. But when you sew ruffles, you can, once you do it long enough, you can sew them without even stopping. So when I do this by myself, I can just keep sewing without stopping with fabric, not with the paper ones. The paper are a bit more fiddly. Hope that's not too loud. Oh, if you're wondering what that little pile of glue sticks, that's the that's the glue stick graveyard. That's where glue sticks go to die. They've still got that little bit in the cap that I need to use. I usually save them up until I need to collage a big cereal box or something, and that way I can scoop it out and use that last little bit. So I don't cut my ruffles between, I don't cut my thread between ruffles. I just keep going and make one great big long chain, and then you can cut them up at the end. So I usually make that very first little bit of paper a bit longer so that you can fold it easy. Now, if you want your ruffles a bit messy, just fold them at angles instead of straight across. And that way they look a bit messier. I like them to look a little bit messier, but sometimes it's actually hard to sew messy ruffles. Okay, and that's it. When you've done them all, then you just snip them apart. I'll do one more. Okay, I've finished sewing those. These were the ones that I had already done and shown you. And these are the ones that I've just finished sewing. Don't they sound, they sound so delicious. Just show you up closer so you can see them in a bit more detail. They're so nice and scrappy. Oh my gosh, I made way more than I thought I was going to make. Oh, here's a fatty. Anyway, I just love them. I think they look so cool. And that's it. So let's see our little scrap paper tray. Now, I actually think it's gone down a bit. What do you reckon? I feel like it has. I can actually see under the rim now. Okay. We've got some progress. At last. Okay. Well, I hope you give these a try. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.